Welcome back, everybody, to another exciting episode of It's All Related, the podcast where we teach you to turn on your intuitive senses and let them become a superpower. I am Sonia Choquette. This week, we are broadcasting. I'm in Paris talking to my beautiful daughter, Sonia, in New Orleans. Hi, Sonia.
Hi, Mom. My goodness gracious. Well, it's actually a very special day because this morning, I start my journey to London because we are celebrating my second niece's, or granddaughter's, first birthday.
I know, that's so exciting. I'll be leaving in the morning myself to see, so we'll be arriving about the same time.
I know, and it just reminds me, as we approach her first birthday, is how much we come into our bodies as spirit. It's wild to look retrospectively at, my first, I know that to be true from just life, but being able to watch these little people, you really know how you come in. It's almost like with your own unique vibrational fingerprint. Think about my Sufi, she is so different. Her spirit is so different than ours. And it's such a privilege to not only celebrate little Ara, but also just to celebrate her unique spirit on top of it, which is really coming. It's just like blossoming.
Well, the exciting thing is when you're around little babies, and especially as they start to let their spirit step into their body and their personality and their communication starts to come across, you really have to appreciate how magical beings are. The real test is that we remember and let that same magic continue, that we don't get it stuck in our heads. She's just so authentic. There's
Well,
no filter between her spirit and her expression and her behavior. It's just a clear transmission.
It's so true. And see, the biggest thing that I'm also just reminded of what a privilege it is to grow up in a house that honors your intuition, because at the foundation, what it really does is teach you how to trust yourself.
Yeah.
That was always the biggest thing in our house, was like before making a decision, before asking for even advice. I remember one time coming to you, and I was probably an issue of, who knows, middle school, blah, blah, blah. But, needing advice and coming, and, it's like me, and I'm probably Jamie at the time, we're having our issues, and da 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 da, and here's that, and here's this. And I remember you paused and you just, well, look at us, you looked at us, looked at me, and you do this all the time, but you'd say, what does your spirit say? What does your intuition say? And just that habit and practice of going inward to my spirit before going to others for their input created us this solid foundation of going inward first. And, one of the things that we were just talking about in our topic today is just how to trust yourself, how to trust
Yeah.
yourself.
And you
Because
know what?
we see it again.
It's how I would ask you, what does your spirit say, is how I was raised. It's like you have an inner guidance system you can check in with, and it is reliable. But I have something very exciting to share today. So exciting that
What?
I put it on Instagram, or I'm going to get it. The guy who is the CEO of NVIDIA. I mean, we're talking one of the biggest, hottest companies on the planet, right?
Yes.
I saw him on an interview, and
Mm-hmm.
the woman who interviewed him said, "Who's the smartest person you know?"
Ooh.
And he was quiet for a minute, and he said, "We used to consider smart being analytical and intellectually smart, but AI has now proved that's the easiest to replace." And
Mm.
he said, and data is no longer something that is a sign of intelligence, but what I consider smart now are people who have that human connection, who have empathy. And here's the best part: and who can see around the corners and read what's coming and be aware of the vibe. And
Oh, you're
I
our
said, that's us.
people.
That's
You're our
us. That is
people.
like that. One of the smartest men on the planet is saying the smartest people on the planet are what we're talking about and have been. Well, for me, for 50 years and you for over 25. I mean, this
I mean, my
is
whole life. I mean, that's just
your whole
that's just
life,
how
my
we've been
whole,
raised.
but our
Our whole
time has come.
lives.
Our time
Totally.
has come.
I know.
He said the kind of intelligence people have really valued, AI has demonstrated is the easiest to replace. And that is not the kind of intelligence that is smart. I
And
loved it. It's like,
do you
yes.
see
So if
like almost want to
anybody,
stand up, standing ovation?
well, it's like, if anybody questions it, it's certainly not the smart people.
Well,
You might
it's
question it, but the innovators, the creators, the connectors, the people responding to and so he said the people who can read the room and feel the vibe. And that is what we're saying. Everybody's designed to do that.
it's true. It's how not only you come in, but it's what him and saying that I'm like, ding, ding, ding. I know
Right.
this to be.
He
We
senses the
know this to be
obvious.
true. Yeah, and it's so exciting to see the language of it really come back online, but come online. But when I am with people who have created magnificent things, companies, nonprofits, different, visionaries of so many different sorts, big and small, even just community organizers. The
Yeah,
thing that they
even people
credit,
have good family dynamics.
I mean, it doesn't have to be, for us, the bar of success can often be business and money, but truly people who create incredible things, they trust their intuition, and it's different language. My gut, my this, I know. I mean, look at
My
lady
vibe.
God,
Craig
yeah,
David, who's like, it's the vibe. He wrote a book called The Vibe. And, this is it's like the age of intuition. We are here. And if you want to be smart, trust your vibes. And
absolutely.
here's my feeling. And I'm drawing it from our podcast. I'm drawing it from YouTube. My YouTube channel, our Instagram channels, the books that you've written, I've written, Sabrina's written. People are telling us their stories of they're getting the vibes. So it's not even a matter of what are vibes. People are feeling them. The turn point is trust them. That's the
Yes,
game changer. It's not
yes,
less and less and less. People are saying, I don't know what you mean. They know they're experiencing it, but they've been conditioned into ignoring it. I had one woman comment on my YouTube channel. I used to call myself airy fairy, but now I see that was a disservice. And I've actually got a superpower. I need to rethink this, or I need to reframe this. Thanks for the reframe.
yes, I love a reframe. I love a reframe, because what we're also talking about with intuition, when you're talking about this Individual gentleman about the seeing around the corner, it reminds me of my partner Lane. He's very intuitive. And one of the ways that his friends and family have described him throughout his whole life is Lane's been ahead of the curve, which is really code for his spirit and intuition, especially in his art and music and culture, senses like what the next wave is going to be, whether it's music or clothes, whatever. And he's very much a tastemaker, but a lot of times people don't get what he's doing. So right now he's been learning how to create 3D worlds on the computer is the simplest way to do it. But he started doing this back in 2019, 2020. And I remember he would create these loops, these animations, and share them with some of the artists that he was working with. And just to say, look at what the possibilities are. Also I'm doing this for my own sense of well-being. And people would be like, nah, But guess what? Guess who's knocking on his door, left, right, and center, who are now saying, you're on to something. You're on to something.
Right.
And it still hasn't fully come into the zeitgeist. But not once did he let outside interference doubt with what he felt of
Well,
where he needed to go.
that's the trust your vibes way of life. And that's how we live. That's how our family lives. That's what we've been teaching. And people who do trust their vibes tend to naturally be creatives,
Yeah.
naturally be inventors and mavericks, and mostly just people who are aligned and feel authentic and grounded and good in their skin. So again, we're not saying to raise the bar today that you have to now go do some magnificent thing, but those little daily choices you make to either trust your vibes or not can make all the difference between an ordinary stressful day and an extraordinary connected domino effect day. For example, do you remember when I was teaching? I just wrote the book, The Wise Child, which is now called The Intuitive Spark, and was on book tour. And I went
I
to
remember
San
book tour.
Francisco. Book tour. It was like another
Way back.
century ago. But I went to a San Francisco bookstore and nobody came. I had 0 people in the audience
I was
except one
just
homeless
telling the
man.
story yesterday. Keep going.
And so here was this man. The only person in the audience was this guy who seemed highly out of it, like he might have been drinking. I mean, just sat there, his eyes were
Disheveled,
closed, and he was
right? It was like his.
disheveled. He had a strong aroma. He was just sitting there. And I'm about ready to talk about children and
And isn't
raising
it
intuitive
also rain?
children.
Wasn't it also raining
It was
outside too?
raining, it was pouring, and I was with a friend of mine, and he said, well, we might as well call this a bust and let's go. And I said, we can't go because we have this guy here. And he says, he's not here for us. I said, you don't know that. He's sitting in the audience, and he said, he's not even awake. And I said, you don't know that. And he said, well, what do you want us to do? And I said, what we came here to do.
Right.
I'm going to talk to him, and you're going to sing to him as if he's the most important person on earth.
Right.
Because
And
right now,
yeah,
that's
that's
it.
the
That's
truth.
what we're here
Right.
for.
And
So
yeah.
I'm talking to him, but he's nearly snoring, and I'm talking to him about raising intuitive kids. And then Mark starts singing to him. Then he looked up at me and he winked, and then he walked out. So that was that. And my first feeling was, oh my God, this is just so sad that nobody came to my book tour.
Totally.
And I left it. I just left it. But I felt good in my heart that I was invited here. They set up books. They printed things. If no one came but this gentleman, okay, I did my part. I didn't walk out or throw a fit.
And on top of it, and also just really quick on top of it, the Mark, who you were traveling with at the time, way long ago, he took everything at face value. He looked at the gentleman, he made a flash judgment, said, you're not important. This isn't important to us because by all my accounts, it's a wash.
Right. It's a wash. But my vibe said, just do what you do. Years go by, quite a few. I get a call from a guy out of the blue named Danny Levin. And he said, you don't know me. I work for Hay House. I am their new head of their acquisitions and recruiting new authors. And I was in a store in San Francisco and asked the bookstore if there's anybody that's impressed you that's come through these doors, who is it? And the person at the bookstore said it was Sonia Choquette and gave him the story about how instead of throwing a fit, I talked to the guy, I thanked them, I was gracious, I showed up. And he said, you know what? You're the kind of author that we want. We'll publish anything you ever write again. And they have.
It's true.
23 books later.
And it also changed everything because we have to also remember in the context of the timeline of that we're talking about, we didn't talk intuition.
This was this was like 99 or 2000. This was like a good long time ago where you didn't talk about this at all. I mean,
no.
And
No.
you and
And
and everybody was dismissing me. I remember one author dismissed me at that time talking about trusting your vibes as I was just whipped cream and lollipops.
oh
And that was its home.
gosh,
So the point is, what I'm excited to say now is the heads of the one of the most exciting companies in the entire world is not calling people who trust their vibes whipped cream and lollipops. He's calling it the smartest person in the room. So everything has changed. And several lessons from this: don't judge. What is appears is not always there, what there is. And you have to go with the vibe of the situation and not what your head says or judges.
totally. And intuition, is the art of deep listening, and you're listening with your whole body. It's natural. It's not a head voice. And
Mm-mm.
when you start to awaken that, if you've grown up in a house, in a situation, if you grew up kind of like the ugly duckling and that really didn't fit in, one way that we really have learned to survive, and I find a lot of intuitive, empathic people have, is that they go to their heads and they bury their intuition and their spirit. And then all of a sudden there's a moment of, okay, an awakening of some sort. And in having to bring that system back online, first, as we always say, it's like you are intuitive. Your intuition is natural. It's innate. It's divine, but we have to slow down and start to be curious and not only listen to your vibes, but act on them. So if you're trying to build these muscles, do it in little itty bitty, no big deal ways. So that it's sort of like you can be
And
like a
absolutely.
scientist.
Yeah, have an experiment. And even because we've been teaching this so long, even if you're not willing to trust your vibes, at least acknowledge them verbally, because you
Totally.
can't deny it. Once you name it, you claim it. If you say I have a bad vibe, but you go against it, you will still have said it. So
Yeah.
you will think twice about it. So if even going with your vibes is a little too scary, just say them. What does my heart say? What does my spirit say? What does my gut say? But you can't answer in your head. And ask
Hmm.
yourself, I ask people all the time, well, what does your intuition say? What are your vibes? And they say, I don't know. I haven't checked. So you even have to start there. Develop the
It
habit of checking.
Totally. It's a conversation, it's a relay. And when it becomes a constant back and forth of, because I almost, for myself, I think of it almost like broadcasting. It's like, all right, let me just check the vibe. I put out, connect with my spirit. I almost imagine like a little radio tuner that's tuning out and then receives the information back. And then, okay, I make a decision. I make a choice. I scan, come back. And it's hard because our world now, where it steals so much of our presence and our attention, that we can be tricked into believing that there's not enough time or space to slow down and check in with your vibes. I mean, how often do you get people who say like, I'm busy?
Well, to them, I just say it's not that you have to slow down your life. Just slow down your breathing. Because the
Yes.
minute you take a breath, you come back to your body. So
Yep.
take 3 breaths. It's a breath away to check in with your vibes. And then, I think people just need a little encouragement by like the way we did it. And I did it with you girls growing up, is make it a game.
Oh,
Don't
all
make
the
it a
time.
don't make it a proving ground or put yourself in a position where you're afraid you'll do something wrong, quote unquote, because you're answering to inner mental authorities. But like it's sort of a game. Like, okay, this is what my head says. What does my spirit say?
Easy.
What
Easy.
is my body? If even that's such a stretch, well, what does my gut say? A lot of guys like to go for the gut because they're naturally hardwired to be more protective, of themselves and of what's going on. And the gut is your protection relay, and your
Yeah.
heart is your connection relay. So check,
Yeah.
what's my gut say? What's my heart say? And the thing is, we got to watch the language because it's not speaking in words. It's like,
Right.
what is my gut receiving is
Yeah.
probably a better way. What is my heart receiving or feeling? And then you say it in words.
Right. And how does it feel? When I have a client that I was, just on a reading, we were doing a reading, and one of the first things that I ask that we've been taught is, how's your spirit? And I find this question very informative, no matter whom I'm speaking to, because it can instantly gives me a mirror of, do they give themselves permission to connect? And I often will find that sometimes people even rush themselves before even having a moment. I'll say, all right, how's your spirit? And they'll, oh, it's good. Or I don't know. And you can feel, I'm like, you didn't even have a moment. You didn't give yourself a moment to slow down. And sometimes I'm even just like, slow down the rush of energy and just go to your heart space. And when we get really disconnected from our bodies, when we're really, really in our head, the moment that we start to go inward, a lot of times our head, our little intellect, or maybe even our nervous system goes into overdrive of figuring it out and pops you right back into your head, because being in your body can feel uncomfortable or unsafe or overwhelming. So I often will even ask my clients, just take a breath, just close your eyes and just scan from head to toe and notice where you are experiencing sensation. And just and then naming it. I feel tightness in my chest is tight, or I'm feeling something in my gut. And even just focusing just focusing your energy and attention again to that same point. Just take a breath. And as you exhale, just first push out any judgment. I breathe in again, just breathing in curiosity, and just say, my body says, fill in the blank, or my body even feels, fill in the blank. That can start to give a gentle framework of even listening. Oh, I'm noticing that. That is a thread to intuitive guidance, because we have to first even be aware of the system.
Are you ready to experience a glorious life? One in which your intuition guides you in every single decision that comes your way, and you feel the constant support and assistance of your spirit guides and your angels watching your back, opening doors, pointing you in the right direction, and keeping you out of harm's way? And how about a life where you actually succeed in creating the life you want? Well, that is all possible if you sign up for my brand new first time ever masterclass, Your Glorious Life, a 6-week life-changing transformational journey teaching you how to trust your vibes, how to listen to your guides, how to connect and make sure you create what you really want. Sign up now. The class begins October 20th, and I don't want you to miss out. The link is in the notes below.
Right. Two things you have to be aware of. You'll want to want it. If somebody's not interested in checking in, you'll have to want to be aware of more than just the surface.
Amen. I mean, that's so true.
There are certain people who are just not available. However, that's not you if you're listening. That's for sure. So, those who want it, tell yourself this is normal. I've been ignoring something that's a part of me that's really protective and helpful because I was trained to, but not because I would have naturally. Every little kid is completely spontaneous and intuitive. And then 3, slow down like you're saying and come back to rewiring to your body, because it's also has intelligence.
Yes.
And it's also communicating what your mind is just trained to only notice certain things.
Right.
And your body notices the rest. And it's the
Totally.
rest that often, like to me, it's the rest that gives you all the full story of something every time. You need the whole story. So you don't
Yes.
ignore what you can see on the surface, but it's very much not the whole story. And like
It's the
this
least
guy today,
reliable.
and the guy that said, the head of NVIDIA was saying, someone who can see around the corner, what, ride the wave. And that is exactly what you're doing with vibes, is you're picking up energy and motion. It's not
Yeah.
static. It's
No.
giving you information. So it helps what I gave you girls, what I grew up with is vibe buddies. People
Yeah.
you can talk about your vibes with openly without any self-consciousness. So I think that is a very important tool of the week.
Yeah.
Get a
Yeah.
vibe buddy, somebody who will check in with you. And if you don't have a vibe buddy, I have the Good Vibes Tribe, which we'll put in the show notes too, which is a whole community of people who are learning to trust their vibes together. But someone you can bounce things off of it. Just ask yourself, like, do I have anyone who will listen, not with a critical ear, but with yes, listen to your vibes, trust your vibes, go into your body. We need vibe buddies.
Well, I would imagine what I'm thinking about as being a fly on the wall in our conversations, and even just for a fly on the wall, so it'll be a little parrot on my shoulder or something, because it's how I talk and how we talk at the dinner table, how I talk with my friends, how I. And it's
the
almost
only
sometimes when
way
I'm
we
talking about
talk.
I know, but it's like the indescribable. I'm like, the vibe is off, or there was this, or was, and it's just, I always have to laugh. And in that same way of our tool of the week, but back to this part of appearance, our brains get into loops. We do the same things. We get stuck taking the same way to work, sitting in the same spot, doing the same thing. And truly we get into patterns, and our brain does it to save energy. But it also means that we stop paying attention to what's around us. I mean, think about like, even go for a walk in your neighborhood, maybe somewhere that you have spent a lot of time, and truly just say, okay, I'm going to be really present and just notice what is around me that I've missed. And I will sometimes do that if I need to move the energy. And every time I am so surprised by some incredible magic or wonder or something that I never noticed before, because I was so in my
You missed
groove of
everything.
what. And it's a nice practice, because that is really what we're saying. Pay attention to the subtle, pay attention to these little things, instead of, oh, I know the house on the corner. I know this different thing. I know, because as soon as we go and we into that, the gate
the
to
minute
close.
you're not present. The minute you say, I
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
you're not present. I have a really good friend that I love and I love him, but he isn't really dialed into the present, paying attention to and this is a good exercise, is to acknowledge what you see. I like to say, notice 3 things that are right in front of you, you haven't noticed before. I usually start a reading or a mentoring with that. Open your eyes, and I say, and even better, notice 3 beautiful things. Because your ego, if it's going to notice anything, it's going to notice something with a critical eye, something that it's going to be not. So that's your head. But 3 beautiful things is from your heart. And that's intuition central. It's like, notice 3 beautiful things. It could just be a color. Like I'm looking right now, the color of my pink lamp is that really 1950s color of pink. I love it. And I guess it's because I have book club with Sufi, and our whole theme is these books called Pinkalicious. So
Cute.
we have this little game of like, notice the pink, because that's what that's all about. So now I am noticing the pink right in front of me. So, but make it fun. Don't make it a test. Make it fun. Make it an exercise in awareness. First, start with your actual senses, and then you first notice what you see and what you can hear and what you can smell, and then go to the next octave. What's the vibe? What's the energy? What's the tone? Then go back to your body. How does it hit me? Do I feel
Yeah.
good here? Not good here. Does this feel,
Ah,
do I feel like I'm in flow, or do I feel like I got on the wrong bus? I mean,
right.
it's simply everything about trusting your vibes is an exercise in awareness and acknowledging what's happening right now.
And when it becomes that language, as we were talking about earlier, just saying, I'm feeling a vibe, I'm feeling X, Y, or Z, it trains our mind, our intellect to listen, and then it becomes such a strong muscle that you really trust yourself from moment to moment. And it's not judgment. For example,
Mm-hmm.
I was at an event the other week, and it was a costume thing here in New Orleans. Anyway, I had a moment. I went outside and there was a woman with a puppet, and I love puppets. And so I struck up a conversation. We're both Henson fans, and she's lovely. But within 30 seconds, it just was not a vibrational match. She wasn't a good person, a bad person, just even in how we navigated. Because for what I found in our conversation, it was it was so surface. Even after the time where it was like, can we just talk about a little bit anything else? And I just felt like, this is just, we're inking our energies. It's like two musical notes. We're just in two different scales. We're just not in key. And from that, what was interesting was immediately my body, because I was trying really hard to talk to her. I felt like I was having a brain squeeze. I just felt my brain
it's so
squeeze.
uncomfortable. I guess when you get, like, lately, I have known, because I know exactly what you're talking about. But now that I am getting older, my tolerance for that is like getting so low that if it's not a vibrational match, I will leave pretty fast. And I think of all the times in my past, I wish I would have left I've always left pretty fast, but now I'll be almost instantly gotta go. I mean,
she's out.
She's out, up, gotta go, because it's like you're saying, that brain squeeze is also energy drain, and someone actually might literally be feeding off of your energy.
A little
Because they're
energy
not giving you
vampire.
there's no volley. It's a one-way street.
I would highly recommend, and I'll find it in the show notes. There is a very funny TV show called What We Do in the Shadows, and it's about vampires. In New Jersey, it's comedy, but there's a conclave of vampires, and one of them, and that's part of the main cast, is an energy vampire named Colin Robinson. And the way that he feeds on people is he goes to his office and has just terrible conversations, and it is hilarious. And one of the later, it's so true, it's so good. And one of the later seasons, which I also love, The Office hires an emotional vampire. So the two of them are feuding in this office, and he's the one talking about numbers and nonsense and blah, blah, blah. And she's there. It's like my cat, and then my mom, and the this and the that, and everybody's patting her back, and she's got the tissues, and they're also fighting, but it's chef's kiss, because it's such a true experience. When you're around it, you do become drained. And when you're with people that are of the same vibration, the opposite happens. It's like gas on a fire.
It's like all of a sudden you're ready for a dance party because you're around some energy that gives you energy. So these are some of the basic choices you need to make when it comes to trust your vibes. It could be as simple as, should I stay in this conversation, or should I say, oh my God, I forgot, I got to go. And then don't explain, just go.
I gotta go. I gotta go.
Gotta go.
I gotta go. I gotta go. But
right.
That also reminds me of a story this past week that was really a gift for me. So I went to dinner with my best friend, Paulina, and it was unusually cold here in New Orleans. We stopped at a restaurant in my neighborhood called Bouligny Tavern, and there were no tables inside. And now I'm a baby when it comes to the cold. And so I was like, no, we're not going. She's like, let's just check out the outside tables. Her vibe. So we go out. Okay, let's do it. As we're sitting down, there is an elderly gentleman who is asking every passerby, it's my 65th birthday, and I was wondering if you happen to have any money. Now, people are walking by him, completely ignoring him. And he asks us for money. I look into my bag and I realize I have nothing, but I say, okay, pad the vibe. If you're hungry, I'd be more than happy to get you something to eat. He jumps at the occasion, picks up, hand him the menu, well done cheeseburger. And so I get his order. I go to the hostess and I order a well done cheeseburger and a birthday cake. And I say, if you could have a candle, I would like that as well. So he goes, sits at a far table. There's no heat lamp. The maitre d' comes out, is annoyed with him of, oh, we need this table. And so Pauline and I invited him, said, please come join us while you're waiting. And I started talking to this man, and this man, Joseph, I swear, was an earth angel. He had the best attitude, just so open-hearted, so kind. I am, chatting with him, and, I said, how was your day today? He said, I woke up, I am grateful. And he said, life has handed me, sometimes I feel in my life that there's a giant boulder, but I know that I have God, and I show up every day with a good attitude. I'm going to keep kicking that boulder, and that boulder one day is going to turn into a rock, and I'm going to step right over it. I said, Joseph, oh my goodness. And his spirit was so bright. His energy was so high. It felt like two little beams out of his eyeballs. His whole energy. We were talking. He's a horticulturalist, a playwright. He's an artist. And one of my favorite things. So he's telling me about these different art pieces. And he said, do you believe in deja vu? And I said, actually, I do. He's like, well, I do too. One time I was at this art museum and I saw this piece of art of a man and a woman on a horse. And I was like, I've been there before. I know this. This is not my first time. So now we're talking past lives, but we're not talking past lives. We're
Right.
having this whole banter, this conversation. And he just was delightful in his mind and in his spirit. And just, I learned so much. And so, they come out with the food and we're going to invite him to join us, but it's chilly for me and I'm going to be on my way. We pull out his little birthday cake and we had there was no candle. So we used the table candle and sang him happy birthday. And he was just so grateful. He just cried. And then I cried. And now we're friends. And he said, I was walking and I have a street here in Louisiana and I usually don't cross it. But something inside me said that there is something special for me over there. And this is it. This is a birthday miracle. And now Joseph and I are friends. And I just feel that was not only a gift, but the subtle ways in trusting your spirit and being present, that you notice what other people completely miss. And with that, who knows what magic would show up.
Exactly. That's such a beautiful story, Sonia. And it's so you. It's so you to see. You always see the soul that's the earth angel shrouded in tattered clothes maybe, or in a vulnerable position, but they're the one bringing the gift. They're the one that has all the gold. It's been that since you were a baby. So I love this story. It's a miracle story. And the point, he had his beautiful birthday, but I know when you get a chance to be your best self, that is just the gift that keeps on giving too. Like you just feel like this is who I'm born to be, is is just a loving soul.
Yeah.
That's
You
part of trusting your vibes is you get to shine as a loving soul. And that is healing in itself for the person.
yeah, that is spirit led. That
Yeah.
is spirit led. And you know, when you're around it, you know, when you're in it in your own energy, and it feels not only good, but to me, it's like being a ballast on a bow in a sense. Life has
Right.
waves, but centered in myself, in our spirit, and it's what connects and to the magic and wonder of the world. I love this. So, you know, in talking about trusting yourself, in our topic, we have given a lot of different tools. What's one specific tool of the week around this of really strengthening that trust that we should give our beautiful listeners?
I think that we should simplify it clear down to pay attention.
Yes.
Start to pay attention and with eyes looking for what's beautiful.
Yes.
Look for the
Yes.
beautiful. Look for the beautiful right in front of you. I think that is going to always open the doors to trusting your vibes. It'll get your vibes rolling. So let's make it that.
I love that. And speaking of not only trusting your vibes and having a community, what I'm really excited about, Mom, your intuitive certification course is coming up. It's around the corner.
It's, we start February 4th and 5th for it's a 30 sessions, 15-week immersion master course and certification. So if you feel, I mean, if you turned the corner and ran into this and you feel like I want to be one of those smart people I was talking about who not only trust my vibes, but will lead others to do that, check out the show notes. We're in the final days before we shut the door because it is a limited group, because I want to work with everybody and pay attention and notice everybody there. But if it feels like it speaks to you, that it's in the show notes. And we're going to keep enrollment open until February 2nd.
I am so excited. I also am going to be in these classrooms helping, but also I truly love being a student. I love watching you teach. The other day I met a new friend and I was, sharing obviously about what it is that we do and talking about you. And I sent him over one of your long YouTube workshops. And then I found myself in it and I'm like, oh God, I cannot wait. I almost texted you. It was the middle of the night. I knew your phone was on do not disturb. I didn't want to wake you up and just say, I not only love you and proud of you, but how wonderful it is to be born in and have the support of your community, of your class, and truly the transformation that occurs when you truly live an intuitively guided life. I'm like 5 stars, million stars, 10 million billion stars.
I would love it. I'm so happy you're going to be co-hosting this with me. And
I'm not co-hosting. I'm support. And I cannot wait.
You are support, but you're co-hosting me. You're definitely supporting me. I got to go back to that other tool. Find your vibe buddy. It's a big, big one. And at any rate, just trust your vibes. And if you need a kickstart, read the book. What about you, Sonia? They can get a big start with you. What have you have coming up?
Well, I have 1 or 2 spots opening up late February, March for mentoring. So if you're interested in working one-on-one, book a discovery call with me to see if working together is a good fit. It's just one of my favorite ways to help support you on your journey. And then also, as always, I offer soul readings, clear on your soul purpose, your soul gifts, what's going on right now, and get specific questions answered. You can go to my website, soniatelli.com, or check the show notes. And I'll be releasing a course in March. So stay tuned. That's me being bold. We're doing it. But
absolutely.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah. You will love it, everybody. You will love it. If you have flat tires and you don't even know where your spirit went, get you that discovery call booked, because you will immediately find your spirit resuscitated and ready to get back in the game after a connection with Sonia. I promise you. You
I
do. That's
love
the
that. I
truth.
know it's true. It is true. And speaking of connecting, now we are going to go to our question of the week. We love your questions. So if you want to write us, you can write us at it's all related podcast questions at gmail.com. And this week we have a question from our beautiful listener, Lori. Lori says, "Hi, ladies. I adore all of you." Thank you, Lori. We love
And
you too.
thank
You are
you.
part of our soul family. I love all the tools you share, especially naming the spirit and ego and emptying the garbage. Real quick for some context, emptying the garbage, Mom. We've just let our listeners
It's
know
a
if they don't.
basic tool. I say it's people. People say their number one obstacle in life is fear of fill in the blank. I call that the garbage. So emptying the garbage is just to acknowledge what you're afraid of, because it's not fear that stops you. It's feeling it and hiding it. So when you
Yeah,
acknowledge it, and you acknowledge it, it comes out of the shadows in the light, and it actually immediately dissolves.
right.
So
And so how you
that's the tool of
practice the
emptying the.
tool and how you practice the tool is you say,
I'm afraid. You feel in
I
your body what you're holding on. You say, "I'm afraid of," and you just announce it. Take a
fill in
breath.
the blank.
I'm afraid of fill in the blank. I'm afraid of growing old alone. I'm afraid of going broke. I'm afraid that I don't know how to change a light bulb in my house. And then I tell you to take a breath, exhale, and then go back to, and what does your spirit say? So that's the
So
tool in a nutshell.
those, yeah, in our nutshell. So back to Lori saying she really loves naming the spirit and the ego and emptying the garbage. I was also told that it's important to not say, "I am afraid," but rather, "I am experiencing fear." I'm curious what you think about this. Lots of love, Lori.
Well, I think that on a if you're walking around 24/7 saying, I'm afraid, you're definitely misusing your consciousness and it working against you. But if
And your
you're just,
imagination?
and your imagination, then you're affirming a sense, that this is my permanent being, but that's missing the point of this tool. The point of this tool is not to go up in your head like the observer. I am observing a feeling of, which actually, if you do that, you're very likely to slip back into the head. Just jump into it. I'm in it. I am there. I'm feeling afraid. I'm feeling cold. Because you wouldn't say I'm cold. You wouldn't say I am having the experience of
I
cold
am
in my body.
experiencing cold. Yeah, yeah, I am experiencing cold.
It's heady. It's contrived. So you're gonna get out of the natural flow. What I am suggesting with this tool is just notice the experience in the moment and then let it go in the moment by simply taking a breath and then coming back to your spirit. What does your spirit say? So this is complicating and adding extra steps and headiness to what I think you should just flow with it.
Love that. And here's where I'd say, Lori, both can be true. When we're
Right.
in our head, it's black and white. It's either I'm experiencing fear or I'm afraid. When in reality, when we're talking about this, I'm experiencing fear. I can understand, especially as a tool within that can be popular within framework of just framing our trying to help train our minds to know that we are not our emotions. Because
And the
when I
I
say I'm
am is also important.
and very important, some very important language. I am experiencing fear, especially if you're somebody who says, I'm afraid a lot in our normal day to day life is a really wonderful way to start to create some space. True, you know?
Right.
And when we're talking about this tool of I'm afraid of, even when you just say, I'm afraid of, take a breath and let it bubble up, there's another part that is allowing yourself to be spontaneous. Even when I hear I'm afraid of, there's a cadence. It's almost like a meditation that allows us to get out of having to think about it. of starting to feel and give that voice. And the whole point of the tool is to say, it's the same thing. I am not my fears. It is not this. This isn't true, but I'm excavating it.
We're outing it.
Right.
We're not affirming it. We're acknowledging and bringing it into the light to release it instead of circling the wagons and observing it like it's hunkering in. So the point is that this is an excavation. You're moving it on. And the quicker you do that, the better.
Yeah. And you can even have it with humor. I am experiencing fear, and now I'm going to use this tool. If I weren't afraid, I would, and let it go. And you both could be true. So I feel like with that, Lori, just let yourself see what feels true to you, because it's not a binary. If that tool works best for you and saying, I'm experiencing fear in this and that resonates in your body, be in your authority. But at the same time, don't get so caught up in having to do it right.
I think the other, just to be really nuanced here, it's your inner child that's afraid, and that is not how your inner child speaks. So you're going to a more intellectual self. But having said that, if that feels like the most spontaneous statement, do the one that feels is effective in outing this from hiding in your body. Get the point and go with that. Just if I'm experiencing fear, outs it, and because the minute you say I'm afraid of something shifts.
Yeah.
It's no longer possessing you. You've put it out there. And that's the actual emptying of that energy out of you. So I think we've examined this every which way and back. So do what works. Just
leave what doesn't. We love
and take
you.
a breath. And the most important thing is to finish with, and my spirit says.
Love, love, love. So thank you so much for your beautiful question, Lori. As I said, if you'd like to write us, you can write us at It's All Related Podcast Questions. If you're listening to this on YouTube, you can leave a question in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. And as always, if you enjoyed this podcast, please help us by rating, subscribing, and leaving us a review. It helps us more than you know. So sending all our love. I love you, Mom. I'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. Safe travels. And everybody, see you guys next week. All my love.
Bye.